Hello folks and welcome to another E3 press conference roundup thingy-majig. This time up is Sony, and to be honest, I am thoroughly excited to actually be bringing this video because it was freaking phenomenal. I know it's a little behind compared to what I would want it to be. I'm quickly trying to get as many of these out as possible, and it takes a bit of time to actually splice them all together, but it was Sony's time, and really I went into Sony's one thinking, what are they going to bring? I know there's a few things that are coming, but what's really going to be announced? And boy, was I smacked in the face right from the start. They started off saying this game's been a while, everybody's been wanting this and whatnot, and they announced, or re-announced should I say, The Last Guardian. They showed off some gameplay. It says they've told us that it's coming 2016 and it looks freaking amazing, and I cannot wait to get my hands on it. I've waited for The Last Guardian for so very long and it looks so good. You can see some of the footage in the background of just how cool it looks. It is Team Ico that are going to be doing it. It does look, it's taking things, anyone who doesn't know, it does take things from sort of Shadow of the Colossus in a way, with the big creatures as well, it was big sort of massive environments. It looks so good. And just the way your main character, I'm guessing it's your main character, could be completely wrong, the game could go off in a completely different direction, but your main character is sort of interacting with this creature as they try and get through the puzzling environment. It's really freaking amazing looking, and I cannot wait to actually get a hold of it. It did not stop there, trust me, it did not stop there. We had then Guerrilla Games up. Anyone who doesn't know Guerrilla Games, they are very famous for the Killzone franchise. I do love the Killzone franchise myself. You'll be seeing in the background though, there's a game that they're doing that looks very vastly different from Killzone. They're deciding to do a new IP. It's it's called Horizon Zero Dawn, and it's sort of I don't know if it's a sort of survival game. From the looks of it, it was all sort of in-game footage they were showing. They did the same with Killzone when they announced it, or showed it off. It was sort of like you were gathering resources from creatures, and it looks like there's dinosaurs in a way. This is the best way to say dinosaurs with robotics on them, and you were trying to sort of farm some resources and that, and then one of the big ones just come through, which I believe is just pretty much a T-Rex. That's the way it acts, is sort of really T-Rex, and it had missiles. Someone tracked rockets to a T-Rex but hey, a lot of people have been asking for a sort of dinosaur robotic game, and to be honest, just like people were wanting DICE to do something with dinosaurs, and people were wanting other ones, and there was this here, have a game of it. The actual action sequence is hopefully going on in the background right now. Was intense. It was awesome. The sound quality was amazing. The game looks phenomenally good. Just how all the environment sort of reacts, like the rocks, the lush grass everywhere going around. It's sort of almost alien looking plant life going on as well. Another one I'm just vastly excited for. I'm pretty sure they did say it's going to be sort of in 2016. Whether it slides from that date, who knows? Date as year, should I say? But I mean, the hits kept coming fast and furious, to be honest. We had some indie titles, of course, announced, but then we had a Media Molecules title. And Media Molecule are they're within the UK. They're very much like to. I'd love to, just go to the studio Media Molecule one day and just take in everything the developers do. They're very creative minds, very sort of think out the box. And this time they have Dreams, which seems to use the sort of controller of the PS4 to draw creations and stuff, and you can create what looks like create games. And they were very famous for the sort of Little Big Planet, and it just seems to like Little Big Planet on steroids. And I did actually like the look of it. They had a sort of gameplay going on. It looks like there was different sort of worlds you could create and everything, and I'm looking forward to what it actually evolves into and what we can actually see, what we can do with. And I'm keeping something there, don't worry. Next up was Firewatch, which seems to be a sort of action survival thing with some sort of dark presence in a way. The way the gameplay seems you're a lovely gentleman going around, and he has he's checking out lines and checking out stuff that's working and everything, and then the person who's on the speakerphone is like, well, who's in your tower? And then it kind of just ends there, and you're like, okay. But it does seem like it's some sort of action adventure thing with a bit of attitude to it, which is always good to see. But hey, we had The Last Guardian, we had Horizon, and then they went and laid another bombshell, which was Final Fantasy VII, the actual remake. It's going to be redone. What looks to be just pretty much the graphics from Advent Children, but it's, you know, true to what it is. There'll probably be a bit of leeway here and there what they can and can't do, so to speak. But I can't wait to see what this thing will look like. I'm guessing it's probably going to be around 2017 before we actually get our hands on it, because it was pretty much in, you know, it's like we kept the promise sort of thing. It's been teased every E3 since God knows when. People have just given up and they were just like, no, this isn't happening. There was tears in the audience, there was tears at home, everybody was overjoyed. I myself was pretty much taken back. I couldn't really function. I was just like, what is happening? It was hard to believe, and it was coming, and it is coming to PlayStation 4. I cannot wait to get my hands on it. I really, really cannot wait. I do prefer sort of Final Fantasy 9/10, but Final Fantasy 7 was sort of the big change in sort of I wouldn't say Final Fantasy formula per se, but I do love like Cloud, Sephiroth and all that as characters. I have lots of Final Fantasy memorabilia in that sense as well, and it's really freaking cool, and I cannot wait to actually get my hands on this. But yeah, that was another bombshell. It's just like, you're just, what is going on? And I genuinely didn't think that Sony would have so much under wraps, and I was sitting there going, nah, they're not gonna have anything. There's going to be a few things and everything, and then it was just like, here's The Last Guardian, here's Final Fantasy 7, here's Horizon, and you're like, what? And then they went and done it again. Now, if I butcher this name, please forgive me. Shenmue 2, or 3 should I say, not 2. So they came out on stage and said, and this is probably the best way to, you know, announce a Kickstarter. They announced a Kickstarter for Shenmue 3, and it's already met its 2 million mark. At the time of recording this video, I think it was at 845k within about an hour and a half or something of going live. The Kickstarter website also died. I believe this is probably going to set records for Kickstarter, really, for anything ever. And it looks pretty darn cool, and I know a lot of people want this. I did play 1 and 2 before, and I did love it, so I'll be chipping in there, hopefully. And it's just like, that was just, a lot of people were referring to Sony's press conference like the Holy Trinity: The Last Guardian, Final Fantasy 7, Shenmue 3, and it's just like, what? Then we have a few others, like you have Regs, which is sort of a Prometheus game. It looks like you can pretty much take part in your own sort of mech going on, which was pretty darn cool, I might add. And it was just one of those things, you're just like, okay, this looks pretty darn cool. What's it do? I'd like to get my hands on a Project Morpheus just to see what it could actually do. I've not got a hands on any Oculus. I know there's Steam Vine and Project Morpheus, there's HoloLens, and I just would love to get my hands on Project Morpheus to actually see, like, or any of them, to see what they could really do, you know, when they actually get to the consumer version, which is probably going to cost a bomb, mind you. I mean, none of these are pretty cheap, but it looks really cool, you know, just getting in your own suit and everything and getting going on. But I mean, we had some fantastic things showing off, really freaking fantastic things. Of course, we went down the line of, you know, showing off a bit more Assassin's Creed. Black Ops 3 actually will have the same thing of, like, it seems Microsoft has either not wanted to or has lost it to Sony in one way, of the actual getting the content first, like a month earlier. I kind of wish that would just go away in the industry, to be honest. I'd rather just have, you know, everybody gets everything, because really the developer's the only one that's kind of suffering. I mean, they might get a bunch of money and stuff, but really the gamers are going to be like, right, I'm just going to go elsewhere then. But they really need to sort of do that. But I'm somewhat looking forward to Black Ops 3. I'm not really a fan of Call of Duty much, but I think Treyarch tends to think outside the box a bit. I'll wait and see a bit more though. Don't really know. So that's one thing. I mean, moving on from that though, we had No Man's Sky show up, which he had like 3 minutes on it. Developer was up on stage showing, you know, you're flying around and everything, and you can literally just, you know, go straight out from the universe and then pick a planet and go. And then it's going to be vastly different from the planet you're probably just on. There's going to be different creatures, different things. Even this one he landed on actually had some sort of military mechanical beasts going around, so to be. I'd say beasts, they were just mechanical, something from, you know, Dawn of War, Walkers type style going on. But it's nice to see just how much this game sort of, just so much going on. but they still didn't really say, you know, an official release date yet, because they just keep showing it. I believe it's not got very long to go. I think they're just, what they want to do is try and get the systems in there. By systems, I mean, like, this game is huge. They're going to need servers to be able to handle the amount of people playing this game. They don't want that to screw up and buckle. That's really the main thing they're going to try and do. So, but, I mean, there was a lot shown. I knew No Man's Sky was probably going to make an appearance, Until Dawn and stuff like that. I did not know that things like The Last Guardian were going to appear. Final Fantasy VII, nobody wanted to believe that. They were watching it and still were just like, how? So, but I mean, there was that going all on, and then, of course, we have, you know, other games going on. Everything's going mad. You have a bunch of titles actually announced. I mean, Media Molecule's new title, you get Firewatch, Final Fantasy, Horizon, Last Guardian. It was just one after another. The Vita got a little bit of new time, I'd probably say it. I mean, it was more like a sort of montage of things coming, and then you had a bunch of indie titles coming to, you know, between them, and, you know, everybody knows the Vita's been not so much sidestep, but it's evolved in what Sony wants it to be. It's more like a companion hardware to the PS4 and so, but it does actually have some pretty good titles. I mean, they did actually show off some exclusive titles coming to it, and it is sort of their Japanese RPG going on, you know. That's where it's kind of heading. There is some good titles, and, you know, it's suited for some people. I love it. I've got a good few freaking really phenomenal games on the Vita. Freedom Wars and one. I love Star Ocean as well. And, you know, some games like that do actually sort of flourish, so to speak, in the Vita. And I know it's sort of, it is a lot bigger in sort of Japan than actually in sort of America and such. Although in saying that, I actually saw someone on the bus, a couple of kids actually had Vitas, and I was like, ooh, this is strange. But it's just nice to see, you know, a bit of diversity in the gaming industry is all we need, you know, a bit of diversity to create new products, and then the consumer wins at the end of the day in that sort of sense. But how about we get to the big Titan? We all knew it was coming. I mean, anyone who knows Sony probably knows they were going to finish with Uncharted, and that's what they did. Uncharted 4: A Thief's End was the one to round out the conference. Sadly, the battery in the PS4 controller decided to die out just as they started their thing, so they could have restarted it. But to be honest, it was so worth it. There was not much shooting in a sense. They went out to crowded sort of market, and then they were chasing down a truck. They jumped in a jeep, and then it just went mental. They were crashing through streets, going downstairs, going nuts. You're probably seeing the footage in the background. It was fairly nuts. And to be honest, Nathan Drake is one of the best characters I know. I love Nathan Drake as a character. He's got such a sort of quirky nature about him. Just, you know, how he reacts to the situation. It's like, I said to go down. It's like, I just sort to go down this way. And it's so amusing. It's so much fun. Anyone who's played Uncharted, you know, pretty darn good character. Anyone's not, he is a fun-filled character, though he knows when to be serious when you have to be. But it makes playing the game really enjoyable. He is a fantastic rounded character. Naughty Dog does very, very well with him. Before I round up the show though, there has been people going, what, no Crash Bandicoot? One, Naughty Dog is working on Uncharted 4. They're not going to do another Last of Us because of that, obviously. Not so sure if they want to do another Last of Us. They have mentioned it in passing. And Crash Bandicoot's just not going to happen unless Activision give it across the rights. Activision still owns the rights. They don't want to give it up. It'd probably have to be some sort of mutual deal between Sony and, I mean, we have had that happen in the movie industry, but game industry is a bit more like, no, mine. So, and I don't think Naughty Dog, it would be Naughty Dog itself that would actually do Crash Bandicoot. We didn't see anything from Sucker Punch, unfortunately, but I believe they're probably stuck down, heads down, getting through whatever the prototype they're trying to work up, which probably will be another Infamous. We do have Gamescom, and I think Sony's missing out on Gamescom, but plans to partake in the Paris one. That's a week or so later because they wanted to kind of space out the big announcements as such. So we might have something else there from actual Sucker Punch. I mean, they weren't at the show, but hopefully have something awesome. But to round this off, guys, I mean, my big game of the whole conference was Final Fantasy 7, but there's just so many points. I am so ecstatic. It was like I sat back at after Sony's conference, just like, wow, seriously, it was insane. You have Uncharted, Horizon, Last Guardian, Final Fantasy, all looking phenomenal. There was some passing sort of things to the whole TV things going on, which it was like, you've got 5 minutes maybe that they were just like, and Project Morpheus, like, this is how it works, does, and they just left it be. They didn't really have to go into much detail. It was clear and precise of what was going on. But definitely Final Fantasy 7 was my game of that show, followed up closely by Last Guardian and then Uncharted. Can't wait for these games. It looks like there's a lot coming to the platform and it looks freaking insane. I was very, very surprised because I went into this thinking they don't really have much. Probably Microsoft's going to win this year for me. Although overall I do think EA's conference was probably the worst for me. Microsoft was then better than that. And then obviously followed up by, because there is other ones to come like Square Enix and stuff. So anyway guys, this has been the Sony conference. Let me know down below, maybe you have ideas what was your sort of game of the show or whatever. And thank you again for watching. I shall see you all next time.